I mean, it's probably even hard to keep yours. You probably didn't even make it this far into the video because you lack imagination. The 80s, probably one of the most recognized decades for having some of the best movies, TV shows, and of course, the start of all three major music networks, and that would be BET, VH1, and of course, MTV. But I'm here today to talk about probably one of the most recognized things about the 80s, besides the practical horror movies. My God, was that a decade for horror? Mwah. Much love to the horror genre for the 80s because that started an entire revolution. But today I am here to talk about cartoons. And I'm not talking just any cartoons. We're going to focus on five of the major ones. And I'm talking Voltron, He-Man, Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, and of course, Transformers. And I'm going to tell you the reason why most of these reboots and remakes just don't cut it. But before we get into it, let's get into that intro.
Makes you think. Makes you think, what's the channel about? What's this really about? It's about teaching life lessons, teaching the youth. It's about top fives, movie reviews. That's what makes you who you are, makes you what you are. There's no rules in this game. There's no parameters. Just truth. So, 2-3 weeks from now, you're gonna wish you subscribed. 2-3 weeks from now, you're gonna be looking for Movie AV Impulse. Okay, I'm reloaded. Let's go.
Now, if you were a kid like I was growing up in the 80s, grabbing a bowl of cereal, sitting in front of that TV, whether you had the big box floor models, we all remember that, or you had your TV on one of those big old TV boxes, because once that TV went out, it always seemed like we used that as a stand for the new TV. But either way, watching your favorite Saturday morning cartoons was the highlight of my childhood. The funny part about it is the reason why we love these cartoons so much, whether it was the action figure that came first, like in the case of He-Man, Thundercats, and Transformers, it was also the fact that we would be able to mimic what we were seeing in each episode. And most of the time, that's why these cartoons were made, was to promote, whether it be from Mattel, Kenner, Playmates, any one of those companies that had toy lines out, they would use these cartoons to market those. So, like I said, you would be able to mimic having He-Man and the Gray Skull Castle, and same with the Ninja Turtle van. I still have one, even though it's not the original one, it's the reissue. I still love it. It is just things that forever will be locked in my memory because these cartoons were just statements, and it was just one of a kind. Even though they all battled for network ratings, the one thing you could always guarantee is that you were anxious for the next episode for the following week. And every time a rerun was on, you just had to watch it. These were the best things about 80s cartoons. Now, to me today, the reason why these reboots or remakes don't work, and I'm specifically talking about the TV shows, let's not even get into the movies or any of that, because everybody that promises to keep that same legacy going just didn't hold out to it. So today we're only going to talk about those TV shows. And with Ninja Turtles, I want to start there. One of my most beloved. I realized that as the seasons went on, they went on to different animation companies and they were doing a lot of screw ups. And in turn, it kind of started to slowly decline the episodes. Now, the 2003 remake of the cartoon, not that it was bad, but it just didn't last because it didn't have that same feel. And it didn't have that same, oh my God, I gotta go out and get these toys. And the same with the reboot version that just didn't hold up at all for me. I mean, it's all computer generated and there's no more emotion. There's no more feeling. I just love the 80s because when you watch these cartoons such as Transformers, they had to draw these things out page by page and slowly get all of it going and the voices and everything. It was just beautifully done. Since my 13-year-old has been little, I introduced him to my Ninja Turtles, my Thundercats, my Transformers, my He-Man. And when they come out with these reboots, they just don't have the same feeling. In Thundercats, like I don't even know what they were thinking. Like when they came out with that bubble version of them, and then this new thing, and Kevin Smith, like what are you thinking with He-Man? That the Netflix He-Man is just god awful. As far as Voltron, my god, need I say more? I mean, again, Netflix just letting people do whatever they want. The animation was all off. It just had nothing compared to the original 80s cartoon. Come on. And I think a lot of that has to do with the challenges that these creators that want to reboot or remake these classic cartoons is that they can't hold the attention anymore. And nowadays, creators have to fight with game consoles, with streaming services, phones, and tablets. And I really feel like this is what has taken away from the imagination. That is what made everything great.
Message.
It's just one of those feelings that 80s cartoons captured because they had to. And one of the greatest things about it was at the end, almost all of them always had some kind of special message.
Hey, Roblox, some stranger's bringing me a prize.
A stranger, huh? All he wanted to bring you was trouble. Remember, never tell anyone you're home alone and never give anyone your address.
I'll say Mom can't come to the phone.
Smart thinking.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
And these remakes just don't work anymore because they don't have that same charisma. They don't have that same explosion. They just type it into a computer nowadays. There's no more taking pride of what you have literally drawn out. And when you watch these, you can see the feeling going into it. You see all the mess ups in different episodes of like Ninja Turtles where it's Michelangelo's voice, but he's got Donatello's face mask on. It's just things like that. Imperfections, that's what makes a cartoon so magnificent. And they can't hold it nowadays because these kids nowadays lack imagination. And I hate that fact. But anyways, what was your favorite 80s cartoon? Let me know if you think that I am onto something here where it's so hard to keep these kids' attention span. I mean, it's probably even hard to keep yours. You probably didn't even make it this far into the video because you lack imagination. It is very, very hard to want to say that these reboots and remakes are just so good, but they're not. Anyways, much love. Hit that like, subscribe, and share because this is the channel where nostalgia and movie reviews and all sorts of stuff, I just try to bring it alive and make it entertaining for you. Anyways, peace.